Welcome to 3 Lanes number 71. Today we'll be talking about IWC as a brand, not specifically any model, but kind of like briefly analyzing it as a brand. And I know there's a few brands that I haven't touched on here, IWC being one of them. I don't know why I postponed it so long. I honestly don't own any IWC watches. I'm always been a fan, but never been able to buy one. Uh, I think it's the proposition is pretty interesting. I mean, very engineering oriented, as we will see here. The way they differentiate is more in the technical aspects, more like a high-end Formex type of brand. But yeah, so IWC, Swiss brand as we know it, but it was founded in 1868 by an American. It was an American engineer and watchmaker, Florentine Ariosto Jones, and he was 27 years old, and he wanted to make something that defied, the output or throughput of Swiss manufacturing, but he wanted to combine it with American industrial production techniques, and he wanted to combine this Swiss craftsmanship with everything that American industrialization was capable of. And honestly, he did. He was the former manager of E. Hauer Watch and Clock Company in Boston, and he observed the limitations of traditional Swiss production methods, and he wanted to create something more modern, a modern factory with centralized production. He established IWC in Schaffhausen, as we know. That's the name of IWC as a brand still today. And this was done strategically, mainly because the factory was going to be close to the Rhine River, and he was going to harness hydroelectric power for industrial machinery, which obviously he did. And his ambitious goal was to produce 10,000 pocket watches annually for the American market. 10,000 at that time was a crazy figure. There was a lot of skepticism when he said that, mainly for traditional Swiss craftsmen, particularly in French-speaking regions, from what I was able to find here. But he found support in Heinrich Moser, an industrialist in Schaffhausen who had built the area's first hydroelectric plant. Funny thing about this gentleman Moser, he's actually, as you may know, is the precursor of the current brand Moser watches. So he was also a watchmaker, and this is why there was a connection with uh, Mr. Jones from the US, and he helped him out. One of the, or some of the key success factors from IWC is the engineering focused philosophy, as I mentioned. But IWC has consistently prioritized technical performance and innovation, and we can see that starting from 1885, when they first created the first digital display pocket watch. This was achieved with the Paul Weber caliber, and as of lately, from 2005 till today, if I'm not mistaken, the company has committed to use more in-house movements, and the production of in-house movements has increased. But I'm not saying that they exclusively used all the time in-house movements. That will not be true, because at one point they used movements that were not theirs. But that's one of the big commitments from IWC. They also maintain a strict quality control through manual assembly and testing on each individual movement, which makes sure that they have premium quality, and that justifies the premium pricing that they have. IWC also identifies, or it's also a leader in material innovation. They have pioneered in advanced materials, particularly titanium and ceramics, what they call ceratanium, and this gives gives the toughness of titanium to the piece, and the ceramics surface hardness to it. So this material is a proprietary material from IWC, and it helps in performance and aesthetics. The expertise also extends to color ceramics, which helped them develop the colors of Top Gun in their campaign with the is it the Navy that has Top Gun and also the movie. But ceramics resist scratching. Titanium offers lightweight, strength, and magnetic protection. It maintains accuracy, and now everything has a magnetic field, so like from your laptop to everything, your cell phone, anything that you can think of. So this helps out the watch to stay accurate. There's also a pilot watch dominance, we could say, from IWC, and they offer the industry's most comprehensive pilot watch portfolio. They have sizes from 36 to 46 millimeters, and complications ranging from basically automatic watches, three-handers, to perpetual calendars. We have prices from, this is in Swiss francs, by the way, 4,000 Swiss francs to 230,000 Swiss francs. Again, the collaborations with the U.S. Navy's Top Gun program. They also have other partnerships with the British RAF, the French Aeronaval, and the Swiss Staffel 11, German Eurofighter. All those give them credibility when it comes to pilot watches. A quick view on the performance analysis of, or financial performance analysis of IWC. And this is based on 2024 numbers, by the way. They generated approximately 548 million Swiss francs. This is around $625 million. This is 2024 in revenue. They produce roughly 120,000 watches annually with an average price point of $6,895. This positions IWC this positioned IWC as the seventh largest luxury watch brand globally by revenue in 2024. But IWC operates within the Richemont Group, which faced significant challenges in 2025. The division experienced a 13% decline in sales, and this was mainly because there was a huge drop in Asia Pacific demand. It was a 27% drop, and this came particularly from China. Now, moving to different items in the analysis, we can move to the product or brand positioning in this case, because we're analyzing the brand as a whole, right? So the brand or the products from the brand are actually targeted or appeal for professionals, engineers, doctors, pilots, whoever values precision and functionality. That's their target. And as harsh as it sounds, there was a point where IWC had a marketing campaign, if I'm not mistaken, engineer for men. Those are the words. But as harsh as it sounds, but it's kind of like what saved them a little bit. It was a little controversial for some time, but it kind of reinforced the clarity for the brand and increased interest among both male and female clients by clearly defining the brand's kind of like masculine lifestyle associations. So it was not to exclude a customer, from what I understand, but more so to clearly define the path they wanted to follow. Also, for product, we have a high focus on pilot watches, but at the same time maintaining certain diversification across like the Portugueser Portofino collections. Now, if we move to the distribution strategy or place, as some people call it, they maintain presence through luxury retail boutiques, flagship stores in major cities, authorized dealer networks globally, direct to consumer online sales, and also the Richmond Group distribution infrastructure, providing operational efficiency And we also have a selective approach that maintains brand exclusivity and IWC's premium positioning. What the brand does avoid is mass market channels. Instead, they try to focus on touch points that provide proper customer education and service levels that are more fitting to luxury timepieces. For pricing strategy, we have something that reflects both tangible and intangible brand values. So the average retail price is around $6,895. Let's call it 7K, man. Let's round it up 7K. But IWC positions itself in the quote unquote accessible luxury segment. I would call it medium luxury segment. But they are below Patek, for example, Patek Philippe, and which with they have an average of $49,000 uh, watches. But the pricing strategy basically supports the premium margin, the brand prestige, the value perception, and all combined with the heritage and technical innovation narratives that they want to put out. They want to put out. But the market segmentation across diverse complications and materials, they do allow customer journey progression, meaning that they have such a huge bracket, or the the range of prices within this bracket is so wide that the customer can start at a piece of 40,000 or $6,000 and move all the way to 200 and what 250 $1,000 pieces. So the range is there. If one customer wants to stay within the ecosystem for as long as they want, they can, right? If their budget allows it. Next, we move to promotional strategy. And IWC's promotional approach centers on authentic storytelling, mainly rooted in aviation heritage and engineering excellence. You know, they have the engineer, so that's a piece that appeals for engineers. They also have the partnership marketing with Formula One, more specifically, sorry, the Mercedes team. They also had a partnership with the F1 movie that gave them a lot of eyes. But they have the digital innovation on there, and they were the early adopters of social media for for the watch industry. Now, some of the challenges and outlook for IWC would be the decline in Chinese demand. That's for everybody in the watch industry. I think it's affected. I don't know how long it will last, but it has lasted quite a bit. The there's also geopolitical uncertainties, call it tariffs, currency fluctuations. You know how they say that the Swiss franc is very powerful right now. So the price difference is it's complicated when it comes to currency exchanges. There's also rising raw material costs, mainly because of supply chains or other considerations. Maybe the same geopolitical situations that doesn't allow exports and imports. That might increase costs. All those things need to be evaluated by brands. Now, if we move to the Porter's five forces, we can start with the competitive rivalry. I would say here it would have to be high. And it's because the luxury watch industry is highly, highly concentrated and competitively intense. Rolex leads, as we all know, they lead the race with 32% of the retail market share. Then the top 10 brands account for nearly 70% of premium export volumes and more than 80% of sales above $3,000. I'm not going to get into the numbers because these numbers change or are not reported completely. We saw the Morgan Stanley situation where some of the brands got upset about the numbers reported there. They get upset, but at the same time, they don't want to uh, show the actual numbers, and it's understandable. It's a competitive market. They don't want to show anything that might show them vulnerable, but it is what it is. So I'm not gonna get into these numbers because they're somebody could say they're debatable. So let's skip to the five main regions of manufacturing luxury watches. These are Switzerland, Hong Kong, China, France, and Germany. But we all know that people, when it comes to Swiss made, they go crazy. So for the Switzerland made watches, and because of the extremely density of watch manufacturers in the area, there's a the brands are forced to find a narrative and a sweet spot to survive, a narrative and a sweet spot to appeal to customers to buy their watches, which is, you know, the differentiator for each brand. And if there's nothing else that can differentiate a brand, at the end of the day, it's going to be the narrative, the story that they tell you. Next, we move to bargaining power of suppliers. I would say this one is medium, and it could be is significant because of the regulatory and sourcing constraints. And collective horology has an episode of what qualifies a Swiss manufacturer or something like, I don't remember the exact title, but basically to qualify as a Swiss watch, at least 50% of watch parts must be Swiss manufactured and 60% of manufacturing costs must be generated in Switzerland. But there's also a lot of consolidation when it comes to component suppliers, not just brands like we can see on the like Richmond Group and all that stuff, all those different groups. But there's also consolidation in supplier leverage. So, for example, we have Incablock, the shock absorbing system supplier. They were acquired by the consortium, including Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Richemont. So, some other brands or some smaller brands, if these three brands or these three groups decide that they don't want to sell to anybody else but keep it to themselves, they can do that. And, the other people are going to be screwed or with limited supply, and then they're going to have to develop something else or find other alternatives for this specific component. So that's why I consider it medium. Three, bargaining powers of buyers. Buyers are the customers. And in this in specific instance, I would also say medium because buyer power has increased due to the price transparency. So people want transparency when it comes to purchasing these things, these luxury items. But there's also alternatives. And when I say alternatives, it's the pre-owned market. So the global pre-owned luxury watch market was valued at approximately 20 billion in 2023, and it was projected to exceed 35 billion by 2028. So from 20 billion with a B in 23 to 35 billion in 28. And why? Because if you cannot get something at a boutique, a lot of times your next resource is buying pre-owned, and that's not completely bad. And a lot of times prices in pre-owned are way cheaper than buying new. And this is why brands like Rolex, they started their certified pre-owned program, and this specific program generated for them around 500 million Swiss francs in 2025. So that's a lot of money. And at the same time, when they do this, they control the pricing in the pre-owned market, or at least a little bit, right? Because not all the Rolex watches are going to go through that program, but what the ones that they do, they can offer them to the customer, and they can also control how much they offer them for. So they control the narrative there too, which is really, really interesting. Next, we move to the threat of new entrants. If there's a caveat here, if we are talking about somebody like IWC with the knowledge of materials that they have, I would say the threat of new entrants is low, but threat of new entrants in general would have to be medium. So medium to low. For something like IWC, I would say there's a high capital needed, brand equity, barriers that protect the people that are already in there, the incumbents, you could call it. but you need to invest a lot in technology, manufacturing, R&D to gain the market share that IWC has already now. It takes years of marketing and brand development to convince consumers to buy over established options. So somebody to buy a new brand over IWC, it's gonna be hard. New entrants need sophisticated global networks to source specific types of let's say materials like gold, platinum, diamonds, gemstones, or ceramics, titanium, or the ceratanium that IWC has come up with. To develop something like that, you need a lot of brains and a lot of money. Next, we move to threat of substitutes. I would say in this case we have a medium threat of substitutes, and it's mainly because nobody needs a watch nowadays. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. The watch purchases are sentimental purchases. It's not really a need, right? Watch purchases are emotional purchases. And for example, we have Tissot and Longines that defend the entry level, which is attacked by smartwatches and you could call it disposable watches, like also Fitbits or fitness trackers that could also be used for a few years and then disposed of. But substitutes in general, we're talking about cell phones, computers, again, fitness trackers, and other technology products that tell the time at lower price points. And finally, another substitute that we usually don't account for, but it's really there. It's the broader experience economy. So some people don't like luxury items, but they like luxury experiences. So call it Michelin star restaurants, exclusive resorts. Some people rather spend there than in luxury items. And this is what I have today for IWC. I appreciate your time. I am Denny. Any questions, comments, please leave them somewhere. Feedback, any topic that you would want me to cover, let me know. Thank you so much for your time. I will see you next time.